Welcome to Text Messages, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the parasite of the show, Rick Tex. We're glad to be broadcasting once again out of Elk River, Minnesota. I am the sole participant in Text Messages, the last man standing, well, probably more like the last man available, the central casting or whatever the case may be. So the fact of the matter is, lately we've been experimenting with the sound quality. Now I think we've got it to right about where we need to be. I mean, we got the nice little Blue Yeti Pro microphone. It goes through the OBS studio, and now we seem to be cooking right along. We are going to fix the video quality in the very near future. Now, one of the ways we can fix the video quality is by fixing our hardware, computer hardware, so that the software on the video editing is easier to do and more manageable. So we will be fixing that in the very near future, ladies and gentlemen. We're excited. Got big changes in the pipeline. And once we get a lot of these hardware issues out of the way, then we can focus more on quality of content or quality of character rather than unalterable traits of birth. So what we wanted to discuss today, ladies and gentlemen, is there's a research article out there actually said specifically why going to church is heart healthy. Now, a lot of people, once they get older and stuff like that, they don't really have many access to social outlets. And Facebook is an outstanding conduit for that. A lot of people give Facebook a lot of grief and a lot of crap because they think it's unhealthy and it's a bad way to socialize with people. But I mean, in all honesty, probably about 90% of the social gatherings I went to in the last 10 years, you know, through friendships, has been through Facebook. I mean, people don't really just call and text too often anymore. So Facebook is usually the #1 means of conversation with people and communication. I mean, it's great if somebody wants to watch a football game, or if they want to watch some pro wrestling or Ring of Honor wrestling, then you can just schedule a Facebook event and then meet up with them. So it works out great for that. And there is some innate feelings of wellness and righteousness and a sense of belonging when you do have a decent social life. I know a lot of people, they get involved with families and having a family and getting a job and moving away and all that good fun stuff. And there's always that inherent feeling of you're missing something. And it's usually the social life that you really need, and just to interact with people at an actual, at a singular level. I mean, it's one thing to go to work and just casually banter with people, or to go to some public meeting and talk to people in that facet. But actually go over to somebody's house and they're, you know, in that setting, and to get involved in a conversation and just to have meaningful, productive discussions with people really makes a big difference. Well, even when you're at work, for example, I mean, they say the #1 reason why people don't want to quit their job is because they're coworkers. I mean, that's usually their #1 social connection, because you see your coworkers more than you see your family. I mean, maybe not always, but if you think about it, you're at work 8 hours a day, and you go home and you sleep for 8 hours, and there's 8 more hours of the day. So if you see your family all those 8 hours, then you see them an equivalent amount of time as you see your coworkers. But for the most part, you're definitely seeing your coworkers as much as your family, and way more than your friends. You know, your friends that you attain through a very, very large sampling size, and you screen them as people that you get along with the most and that resonate with you. So if you've encountered hundreds of people in your life and you got 5 people that you hang out with on a regular basis, those would probably be considered friends. Oh yeah, it would be nice if we could just get along with everybody, but we only have a finite amount of time, so you can't just hang out with everybody on the face of the planet. I mean, what is there, 7 billion people now? So you'd have to allocate a very, very large amount of time to be able to hang out with that many people. So a handful of people is probably good enough. Now, what the study showed is they found these people that were hypertensive, which means that, you know, they got heart problems, high blood pressure and all that. So they had these patients, and they had 2 different outlets that they could go towards. One, they would regularly go to mass, and then the other, they would go to a health class, and they would do that for 11 weeks. Now, this is in New York, is where the study originated, so it's you know, high population density. There's maybe not a lot of sporting events or activities that people could get together with. And what they found is that the people who actually went to church had a greater systolic blood pressure reduction than the people with the health class. And in fact, the people that went to the health class, their blood pressure was reduced a little bit, but it wasn't enough to really be statistically significant. You know, it was almost a negligible amount. So the study basically, maybe not concluded, but it's certainly reaffirmed, or maybe not reaffirmed either, but it pushed you into the direction of seeing the value of a good, healthy social life. See, a good social life, it exercises brain nervous system functionality. If you're just sitting at home and playing video games and everything, yeah, it's fun, and everything like that, but I mean, you're not really exercising that part of your brain. It's sort of like a lot of people that get hooked up with picking up and setting down weights. They get used to it, and it sort of becomes an addiction, but if you don't pick up and set down weights, then you kind of feel like crap. And that's kind of the same with the social setting, is we're all connected to humans in some way, shape, or form. So if we cut off that connection, then we cut off that quote-unquote addiction. I mean, in this case, it's probably a good addiction. So once we do that, then we just feel like garbage all the time, and you can't quite figure it out. You think it might be diet-related, environmental-related, maybe you're not getting enough clean air or clean water. But come to find out, it may just be a poor social life. So that's why it's vitally important to maintain a good social life, even if that just means BSing with people on Facebook and hanging out with people every once in a while too. Because I mean, out here, Elk River, Minnesota, yeah, there are other people that live out here, but by and large, most of the people I know are hours away. So it definitely creates a bit of a dilemma as far as that goes. And then see, during the daytime, I'll go 5 days a week. I'll go to a certain physical location and satisfy show sponsors. And there's a couple other people that work there too. Most of them got families and things of that nature, so they're not really the type that you'd hang out with too often. But so what they found here is that, well, of course, it's a safer and cheaper alternative to conventional medicine. Even just silly stuff like going to the dog park, or just any park in general, or just going to a bonsai tree cutting class, or going practicing swimming at the, even going to picking up setting down weights at a public gym. That's definitely a way you can get socially involved with other people. Hey, you'd be surprised too. I mean, just starting casual conversation with people just enriches spirits all around, and you tend to think more positive things. Usually, see, you can see somebody, say if you're just in a store for some reason or another, and then you see somebody and you kind of get a perception of them, but then say some happenstance where you get swept up into a conversation with them, you almost see them in an entirely different light after that, because I mean, the way they talk, what they talk about, how they talk, just their general persona as far as how they approach you and how they have a discussion with you. And it's almost always more positive for some reason or another. I mean, yeah, usually it's a good idea to give people the benefit of the doubt, but for some reason, the more you talk to people, the more higher you think of them. That just seems to be how humans are hardwired. Animals are kind of the same way. If a cat meows at you, then you think it's cute and adorable. Or if a chicken makes funny sounds, it's cute and adorable. Hamsters are the same way. So, being more spiritual, or believing in a higher order of intelligence and finding a meaning to life, reduces heart complications, blood pressure, and especially mental illness. So you'll notice agnostic or atheistic people, almost none of them are happy. I mean, they think they're in the know because they can use some basic logic to say, oh, well, it doesn't really make much sense that a higher order of intelligence would create this earth and then have all the pain and suffering in the world. And yeah, it doesn't really make, yeah, you're right, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, you'd think there's a higher idea behind it that we don't quite understand and comprehend. But I mean, this research shows very rarely do spiritual people, are they depressed or hate themselves or are down on life, because they truly believe in a higher power or a higher meaning. And yeah, it sounds silly and it sounds weak, but humans are by nature weak. All of us are. We all depend on each other for virtually everything. I mean, somebody else made these LED shop lights here. Somebody else made this wall. Somebody else made the paint for this green screen. Somebody else made the suit. Somebody made this American flag label. Somebody made this tie. Somebody made this satin shirt. Somebody made this microphone. Somebody made this piece of paper. Somebody made these LED lights here. Somebody made the insanely expensive camera. Somebody made the board that it's sitting on. Somebody made the squat rack that it's sitting on. Somebody made these floors that we're on. Somebody made these walls that are all around us. We all depend on each other. And somebody also made all the fiber optic cables that are transmitting this information to you, ladies and gentlemen, at home. So that's why it's important to recognize how interconnected we are. On a physical level, based on everything that we use that somebody else made, but also at a spiritual level as well. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to have a good, healthy social life. Even something like a softball team. it'd be pretty cool to get back into that, but we'll see. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're glad that you joined us once again. We'll be back momentarily, and hopefully you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much.